Hello and welcome back to Shokuho, and we are here with Bruce once again with a focus point. And I usually would say that I'm very excited about this, but actually, well, we don't really have that much to spend it in. Technically, what I could and probably should do is take these focus points out of trade and put them in charm skill. That would probably be the way to go at this point in the game. Generally, this is the funny thing about trade skill. If you don't work on it throughout the entire game, it's not really gonna be super useful in the late game, unless you already have everything has a price, of course. There are gonna be a number of things that you will be able to get here that can provide you with some benefit, of course, but most of the time, trade skill is very much like an early game, sort of perk tree, which is definitely gonna help you a huge amount to make massive cash. But there are other ways to do that, of course. Anyway, yeah, that's beside the point basically right now, because we have this guy attempting to attack us right here, and I am going to be, yep, there we go, going to be attacked by him, and we're going to see if we can achieve some victory. Let's do this. All right, so I did convert a huge amount of our prisoners to my army, because obviously we were depleted quite significantly. I had about 39 or something like that, 40 whatever, and I was able to recuperate quite a few, and that's fantastic. We needed that. We needed that significantly. If not, we might. It depends. It very much just kind of relies on us having some really good ranged troops, and it does seem as though we still have some good ones. Let's put these guys into a loose formation as well. And we're just going to do something like this. And there we have it. Okay, so let's actually see how we do here. I'm going to switch to my gun, because I personally would like to. I'd like to use it a little bit. And let's see. Hello there, sir. Alright, he's dead. Oh, I did slash at that guy, but it was too late. Okay, unfortunate. Nice damage. Oh, yes, we killed the guy that's leading the army. That's hilarious. Didn't really expect to do that, but there we go. We managed it nevertheless. Okay, now things are popping off, aren't they? Yeah, things are popping off quite hard here. Thankfully, my forces are actually pretty decent in melee combat, so we shouldn't really have to worry super hardcore about this. And indeed, this weapon is an absolute godsend. This is such a good weapon. It is crazy. I feel like I should, I don't know, I should probably explore smithing a little bit more. Maybe I'll re-enable one of our smithing mods, because obviously I can't keep it enabled all the time for crashing reasons. But maybe I'll re-enable it and make another weapon of some kind. You know, that might be quite fun. Maybe like a polearm or a shorter sword. You know, maybe a katana or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. We've lost quite a few people so far, though. I've got to say that. We've lost quite a few people. Not a terribly big fan of that, I got to say. But the funny thing is, the enemy spawned really close to us, which is very much making things quite a bit more difficult than they would otherwise be if we had a bit more distance on them. Maybe I should have moved my forces a little bit further away. And that's a thing that we don't usually realize we can do, you know what I mean? Like, usually what you can do when you first start the battle is you can actually move your forces back quite a significant amount, as they do give you some wiggle room. But as it is, well, I didn't do that. So we're going to have to suffer the consequences of my inaction, as it were. And, well, so far, I mean, we have 300 people. Just bear that in mind. We have 300 people or so, and we've already eliminated 300 of the enemy. They have 600, right? They have 600. So technically, we've eliminated more than half of them. And most of the time, that should result in a victory. I mean, the ratio speaks to our victory, but, well, there are many cases where that has not actually made that much of a difference. And I'm kind of hoping that... Ooh, careful. Oh, okay. Yep, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Those kinds of situations. Yeah, we want to be careful of that. Wow, loads of troops coming in here. You know, it's so funny as well, like, talking about them having 300 troops remaining, and you just never really... you never really grasp how much 300 actually is. Because if you think to yourself, oh yeah, you know, 300 people went to this movie theater, for example, right? 300 people went to the movies, and you think to yourself, oh, that's not that much, right? But if you actually see 300 with your own eyes, it's completely different, you know? Because you think of the number as being something relatively small, but then you think, actually, you know what? Wait a minute. You probably can't get 300 people in a one-bedroom apartment, right? You wouldn't be able to get 300 people in there, not unless they're wall-to-wall, I assume, or something like that. I don't know, but the fact is, it's a lot more than you think. And that's exactly what happened to me just now, where I was just basically running into these guys and thinking to myself, oh, yes, 300's not that much, you know. But actually, it is. It is. Anyway, I think we're probably going to go for an auto-delegate now. That's probably what we're going to do. Let me just... wait a minute, what is actually going on here with these guys? Let me just turn that on. There we go. Okay, for some reason it was turning it off and then turning it on, and I'm not entirely sure what was going on with that, but yeah. We should be able to... yeah, everyone is just charging. Oh, wow. Okay, that is... that's some pretty special... That's some pretty special maneuvering right there. I basically just maneuvered in and around the opponent so extremely skillfully that I missed everyone, for the most part. And there's the victory for us. They ended up retreating in the end. 54 renown, 109 influence, not too bad. And of course, we do get to take all of them prisoner. This is the Miyoshi, of course, and we are going to have a bit of a problem with them because they are quite, they're mid-size, you know? They're a mid-size faction, and they are... in my opinion, actually pretty dangerous for some reason. I actually don't know why that would be the case, because they clearly don't really have anything that can be super dramatically good. But for some reason, they're actually proving themselves to be quite troublesome for us. I don't know why. So I guess we'll just have to see. Now, I am going to be getting some more... prisoners here. There we go. Yeah, something like this. Yep, that seems pretty good. Let's take another one of those, I guess, as well. And that's it. There we go. All right. Now, we do have 16 people that can level up. I am probably just going to be... Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. I am probably not going to be taking all of the loot. I actually thought that we would have a pretty decent time there, but no. Apparently there's a lot of loot that can be going to our experience here. And, do I need food? No, not really. Yeah, no, I'm not doing particularly badly on food right now, so I'm absolutely fine to just leave it alone. And let's see what the map is actually looking like, because I know we took a look in the previous episode, but I want to just check it and see where we could actually go after this, because I am planning on taking Ushiki, because let's face it, it really needs to get taken. Right? It really needs to get taken. Oh, I can't even look at the map right now because I'm stuck in this siege. They don't allow you to look at the map, unfortunately. I'm not sure why that's even a limitation, to be honest, with the base game. It's kind of a bit strange, but whatever the case, there we go. Okay, let's just level up some of these fellows, get some more of those. There we are. Okay, nice. Very good. Now we just need to regenerate, and then we'll make our way in. Ah, look at this! Magogoro was finally successful in his capturing of Sakihama Castle, and I am extremely pleased for him, because it has been a while, let's face it. It has been a significant amount of time. I've literally... Well, technically, if I was better at the siege... In this case, I would have been able to take this town and maybe even another one in the time that it's taken him to take that. As you can see, his army is much more significantly depleted, probably because a couple of people ended up leaving in the process, but yeah, I guess we'll see what ends up happening relatively soon. Now, I am going to go in. I am not going to bother with the opening of the gate or anything like that. I'm just going to play this completely straight up. Obviously, we've been experimenting with a couple of extra strategies as you do. You know, if you do want to try to optimize, try to, you know, be a little bit more efficient with some sieges here and there, especially this one. I think this one is the most difficult one to complete without dying as the player character. And also, obviously, the last stand, right? The last stand for the enemy is usually extremely strong. They're really good at making sure that you have an absolutely awful time. So yeah, it's quite, well, it's quite scary, to be honest. It's quite scary. Let me see if I can get up here without taking any damage. I'm trying to come in from one side instead of going in through the middle. I'm hopeful that that's going to make a bit of a difference. And I'm also going to be utilizing extremely similar attacks here most of the time. Just being very efficient with my movements as well. Trying to jump down where we are not going to get shot immediately. I'm also going to come over here and I'm going to try to do damage as much as possible to the opponent to remove the potential for them dealing damage to my own forces so that my people can get onto the walls without any problems. Or at least that's the idea, right? That's the idea. As you can see, we've already eliminated all of those. And now my forces, they haven't even gotten the, look at this, they haven't even gotten the door down. They haven't even gotten the gate down and we've already eliminated all the defenders. So my forces should now technically have a straight shot all the way to where we need them to be. Unfortunately, we've already lost 17 people. Wow. That's quite a lot, you know? That's quite a lot considering. Anyway, we do have a band of people for some reason now running away from us. I'm not sure why they're doing that, but I will shoot one of them. There we go. And, oh yeah, now they're coming back. Okay. Got him! There we go. That's what I was wanting to do the entire time. Just take out that one guy because I think he's the guy that generally tends to focus on us quite a great deal. And I wanted to make sure that we could at least eliminate him. That was a pretty nice shot, I gotta say. That was not too bad, considering we were able to get him from all the way over here. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, or what I was talking about a long time ago in the series, where I was saying, hey, gun skill really makes a big difference in regards to the accuracy. You know, it's not my vision, even though technically I don't have very good sight, but yeah, we were able to amazingly make that shot, and we are now going to do a similar thing over here. I am being shot by the people in the tower, which I'm not a... Ah, yes. Okay, yeah. That was a mistake on my part then. Alright. Probably should have gone for the tower immediately. Yeah, well, I'm still trying to figure things out, you know, still trying to figure out what is the best course of action in these cases. I think going for the tower first is best, and then going for other things. You can see here we have this fellow attempting to eliminate this lord, and apparently he needed some help with that. Very surprising that he did. And we got some more people over here. I will try and endeavor not to get shot in the face. We're doing pretty nicely, actually, in regards to our HP. And technically, HP is a resource, and we do want to try to utilize it as best as we can. Especially in this siege. This siege is one of the most difficult, in my opinion. He says as he jumps down and takes massive damage. That's great. Yeah, well, technically it's not even massive damage because I do have strong legs, right? So I do reduce the amount of damage I'm taking by 50% whenever falling, which is pretty nice. That means that I can do those kinds of reckless maneuvers with not as much of a problem. And I believe that is indeed it. There we go. We were able to actually do this with a significant amount of HP. However, we do have to remember, of course, that there aren't that many people in here. There aren't that many people in here. So it is very much a case of us just being like, well, is it because of the new way that I did this? Or is it literally just because there's only 300? Because if it's only because there's 300, well, then it doesn't really make any difference. But if it isn't, and it's because of something else, because maybe it was because of the way that I decided to play this, because I did play this slightly differently. As I said, at the very beginning, I went in from the left side of the wall. I guess it would be a relatively similar experience if you went on the right side of the wall as well, because you're going to get less attention that way, you know? Because if you go in the center or somewhere near the center, of course more people are going to be attacking you, and you're going to get attacked from both angles. Whereas if you attack from only one side, you're basically going to only have people attempting to attack you from the front, which is of course going to be extremely, extremely useful. Because that allows you to pretty much use enemy bodies as meat shields, pretty much. Because what's going to happen is the enemy is not going to want to shoot their own people, right? The enemy is not going to shoot their own people, so of course you're going to be able to use them as kind of like a deterrent, shall we say. You know, something like that. And that's really going to make a big, big difference. Anyway, we'll just move on. We have captured the town, which obviously is exactly what we wanted to do. And funnily enough, this isn't Yuzuki either, which is just quite funny, because I obviously wanted to do that quite a while ago. I wanted to do Yuzuki quite a significant amount, actually, but oh well, never mind. I'm going to get rid of a couple of horses here, because we do have a slight herding issue. So I will... Wow, yeah, we have quite a lot. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's going to be enough. There we go. Yeah, a little bit more, and that's it. There we go. All right. Fantastic. Okay, so let's just show mercy here, even though it does reduce our relation with some of our vassals, kind of weirdly enough. I'm not sure why that is, but there you go. As I say, it's probably because they have mean personalities or something along those lines. I mean, generally, you know, lack of empathy for your fellow man and so on and so forth. You know, that's exactly what's going to happen. Okay, so cultivation, there we are, and indeed, let's take a look. Okay, so Sakihama Castle was taken by Magogoro, and indeed, that is it. Really? That's all that we've been able to do. That is so incredibly bad, I gotta say. I feel like we could have done much better here if I hadn't spent so much time in this town. I think we would have had we would have had so much more progress. Unfortunately, I have just had so much delay. You know, I've been attacked by 2 different armies. I've had the sieges take an exorbitant amount of time, extremely way too much. And as you can see, we now have our child leveling up once again. Now, I do have to mention something, okay? You may be thinking to yourself, how are your children advancing so fast? Well, I did take my own advice, and I actually did install a mod that increases the speed at which our children advance. And the main reason why I wanted to do this was because it is then going to provide us with an insight into the child advancement that is currently available in the game, because usually playthroughs are never going to get to that point unless someone is going to be doing, you know, 50 to 100 episodes, maybe even more than that, because it does take 18 years, literal 18 years in game to be able to make your children somewhat viable, or shall we say somewhat even applicable to the situation. So this is the reason why. Anyway, if you want to check out the mod, it should be in the description. The name should be in the description, and you can find it on Nexus, I assume. Maybe on Steam as well, I actually don't know. But whatever the case, yeah. It's very, very cool. It is a great mod. It was updated 2 months ago, and it works for the version that works with Shokuho. So obviously fantastic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to win wrestling matches, go for two-handed, of course, and we are going to be going for bow skill as well, I think would probably make sense, right? Yeah, that's what we want to do. There we are. Okay, fantastic. I really want to see how our children do. Now, you can customize the mod quite significantly. You can basically make it so that you can determine how fast your children grow, pretty much. So you can select from anywhere from double the speed to 90 times the speed. So if you want them to level up like in two hours, then you can do that if you want to. But I'm not doing that. I am doing 5 times the speed. I'm doing 5 times the speed just purely because I think that makes the most sense for me personally, because obviously I am making a series on it and I don't want them to level up too fast, but I do want them to level up at a decent pace, right? A decent pace. And I don't really want to have basically a time where Bruce is dead. Because here's the funny thing, I actually looked at his age, right? Because he is actually advancing in age much faster than I anticipated. And I think that's because the years in the mod are much shorter than in regular Bannerlord. I could be wrong about this, so don't quote me on it, but I think that is the case, because let me actually just show you in a real quick second. Okay, so if we look at Bruce real fast, you can see here, he is age 50. He started at age 40. Just bear that in mind. He started at age 40, which means, you know what that means? That means it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years in-game at this point. And from my perspective, I don't think it's actually been 10 years. Is that true? I don't think it has been. I don't think so, at least. But maybe it has, and maybe I just didn't realize, or maybe, I don't know, maybe something's going on with that. I wouldn't know. But I think the time advances much quicker in this mod than in the native game. And we now have our daughter who has advanced once again as well. So we can increase our control skill with her. I think that's probably going to be a good idea. She's currently only having 1 in it, so it's probably a good idea. And we should probably get her some additional bow skill as well. Even though I'm not entirely sure how effective bow is going to be. I think it is going to be very good in general. And I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. If we do actually end up, you know, taking control of one of our children, then I think it's going to be very enjoyable to use a bow. Obviously, that does rely on the fact that our spouse is also not available, because it is going to transfer control over from us to our spouse instantaneously. So that's obviously going to be a maybe slight bit of an issue. Yeah, because obviously transferring to a spouse, she doesn't have pretty much any stats. But the children, on the other hand, they are going to have incredible stats. So, you know, there is that to consider. But now our daughter is age 8, which is very cool. Ah, I like this one. Oh yes, this is a fun layout. This is that one that I always get killed in because I go into that place where I always go, oh yes, that's a bottleneck. I should not go into that bottleneck, but I always do for some reason. I don't know why, but yes, that's generally what I always tend to do. Now, I'm going to do a similar thing to what I did beforehand, and I'm going to go up the right side here this time, not the left side, but the right side, and I'm going to see whether we can make our way in with very little damage taken. There we go. Okay, very nice, very nice. Let's go up the little tower here. Nice. Okay, very little damage taken so far, and I'm going to continue trying to do that. Unfortunately, getting shot at right now, so I'm going to take cover. Getting shot from the other side as well. Great. That's perfect. Okay. Actually, much better than anticipated. I thought that we were going to be taking chunks of damage here. I mean, we did technically avoid quite a few headshots, in my opinion. Quite a few of the various headshots that would have happened beforehand if I wasn't aware of them. I think they would have happened this time as well, if I hadn't been so careful. So I think that is indeed pretty useful. I think that's quite nice. And now, oh, look at this. Oh, here we go, here we go. We actually get to go in straight away and absolutely murder. Okay. Yeah, this is... Yeah, there's the headshot. Okay, yep, there's the obligatory headshot that we're going to get at this point. Unfortunate for me. Yeah, very much unfortunate for me. Okay, wait a minute. There's a guy over there that we should probably shoot at. I can't even see this guy. Can I crouch right now? Yeah, I can. Can I actually shoot this guy from here? Nice. Get him. There we go. Alright, so let's just reload. Make sure that we are ready, just in case. Just in case. I actually think that one of the things I need to remember is that generally, I don't need to rush, right? I don't need to rush. I don't need to be like, oh yes, I must immediately make it to where the enemy is. No, I don't need to do that. I can take my time. I can just let my forces do their own thing. If I do end up losing a load of troops, then at least... Well, at least they're the ones dying and not me, I guess, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what's best sometimes, because I have generally always played well, as selflessly as I can most of the time. I generally try to prevent my forces from losing too many people, because I personally believe that my own life is worth much less than any of these guys. But unfortunately, well, maybe that's not the case in this mod, because we do have a very significant amount of power in regards to how much damage we can do to enemy forces. And I'm not sure... I mean, that's obviously a good thing. That is very much a good thing, being able to do that much damage. I mean, look at how much damage I'm able to do right now. This is insanity. Look at that. And this is the thing. Obviously, most of the time, if you're able to do this kind of thing, then yeah, your life definitely should be worth more. But I still feel bad about it, you know? I still feel bad about sacrificing units to do that. But I guess in the natural flow of battle, these kinds of losses are inevitable. And now we can just eliminate the last couple, and we're done. And we ended up losing only 5 people, and we didn't even lose them in general. There was no death here at all, which is actually staggering. But of course, we did not have any of the garrison to deal with because I decided to starve out the garrison this time around. Anyway, 49 renown, 76 influence. Of course, Yuzuki being so extremely well supplied is a huge problem for us. I'm not sure how we're even ever going to be able to take that unless we do this do the standard thing where we basically just go in there and be like, oh yes, give me all of your food, please, and we just take all their food. I mean, we could technically do that, right? That would be the, I suppose, best course of action in this case. However, I don't really like doing that. You know, I don't really like doing that much. But I guess we'll see. Anyway, Magogoro was... Oh, wow. Okay, that's actually insane that he is wanting to pay 7,400. I'm going to say yes to that, of course. There is nothing really bad about me saying that. And yeah, we're going to give this to Kinbei once again. Kinbei is absolutely fantastic, by the way. They want me to have more stuff. This is not necessary for me, really. This is not necessary for me. I don't really need the influence. That's the funny thing. I am making 9 influence per day, which for me personally is more than enough, because if you think about how many days I've actually been, you know, on the map, 9 times whatever is a significant amount of influence. So it's not really necessary. I mean, how much do I actually get? I get 2. I get 2 influence from my main town, and then obviously we do have some negatives, you know, the classic negatives that we always have to deal with, but I think that's fine, you know? I think that's alright. I don't think we need that. We don't really need influence. But I guess maybe we'll take a couple of extras just because we don't really have anything to manage in this area. And it would be quite nice to give our governor something to do, because at the moment I don't think she has anything to do, so it might be an idea. Alright, so hilariously enough, they have over 4,000 fish here, which is absolutely hilarious, and buying them, it literally costs me 2 gold every single one, which is just incredible pricing. Anyway, we can now buy all of this, and indeed I am going to sell most of my armor, of course, as you might expect, and we're just going to leave, and this is Yuzuki, of course, and I'm going to go to my inventory here, and then we'll just get rid of all of my food, because otherwise I am so over encumbered, it's not even funny. I have so much fish. Let's just get rid of... Wow, yeah, we have so much stuff right now. This is absolutely hilarious. Okay, there we go. I still have 1,000? How do I still have 1,000? What? Oh yeah, I got a bunch of seaweed, I guess. Alright, well, that's absolutely fine. I don't really have a big problem with that. And now we're just going to go in. We're going to go in against the Mori here. Okay? We're going to go in against them again, because it is very much, in my opinion, in our favor. We're going to go here, attack them, nice little auto-resolve. Going to let that guy go. I'm actually going to let that guy go for no other reason other than I don't really care about taking him prisoner right now. And we are just going to do this, and then we're going to move in straight away. That's all I wanted to do. I just want to move in straight away. Let's see how long they have. 4 days! Nice! That is so much better. Oh yeah, that is so much better. Now we don't have to wait 55 days for their food to deplete. Okay, so we're going to just level up a couple of people here, and then we're going to be making our way in. I'm going to level up some people into Bowman now, even though it's not exactly the most efficient or best thing to do. But I'm going to do that just purely because I feel like we really need a slightly high fire rate in some cases. Anyway, we got this guy right here who is making an army. I am actually very pleased that he's making the army this time, because Magogoro was... very strange. I didn't show you this, but when I was besieging the castle just now, the previous one, you know, the one that we took relatively decisively, we had a pretty weird bit of behavior from Magogoro. He had his army of about 250 people, and he was at Ushiki, right? He was at Ushiki, and all he was doing was entering the town, exiting the town, entering the town and exiting the town. And he was just rinse and repeating that over and over again. And I have no idea why he was doing that. There was very little reason for him to do that, but he was doing it, and it was very strange. So I'm very pleased that he stopped doing that, because he disbanded his army. It's actually quite funny. I think that he got stuck in some kind of infinite loop or whatever, and that was actually causing him to lose cohesion. Lose cohesion because he couldn't use influence to stabilize his army or something like that, and that was the reason why he actually managed to disband it. But for me personally, I actually would prefer him to disband in that moment, because otherwise he is literally going to be doing that thing where he's just entering, exiting over and over again, and it's going to be terrible. So yeah, I'm very pleased that he actually decided to disband in that case. But it's super weird, because I've not actually seen the AI be super bad so far in this mod, and the only thing I can think of is that there was an opponent nearby. That's the only thing I can think of, because otherwise I'm not entirely sure what would cause them to act that way. I can only assume that they were consistently running away and then running to the enemy, maybe because the enemy was slightly larger than them or something like that, because I did manage to notice there was an army, enemy army that is, of around 300 and something troops, and I think that was definitely having an impact. Nice. Okay, just gonna reload, getting shot here of course. Nice, there we go. Okay, be very careful. I can't really help this, that's the funny thing. I can't really help getting shot. Okay, should I try something a little bit different this time? I'm gonna try something a little bit different. I gotta say, I actually don't believe it, to be honest. I do not believe that I am still alive here, considering we had such an incredible amount of enemies. I might actually end up dying Don't get shot. Ooh, that was close. That was a close one. Okay, hello there. These guys are proving to be a little bit weird. Yes, it was a bit strange. I'm not entirely sure why they were walking into me right there, but you know, it's happening. It's happening. And oh, hello. You're kind of stuck here, sir. And he's dead now. There we go. Alright, so we got 5 enemies remaining, and I'm actually alive. And I did something completely different this time. I'm actually very surprised that we were able to pull it off. Because you know that when we first came up here, right? When we first came up this little slope here, we only had 1 person with us. And I thought at the time, I'm definitely going to die here, right? I'm definitely going to die here. There's not much that I can do about it, because I'm obviously going to get shot from either side. But no, surprisingly enough, I only got shot 1 time, or at least I think so. I think it was only 1 time, maybe twice? I actually don't know. Anyway, we barely took any damage, and then we got inside, and it was just absolutely insane damage. Anyway, 77 renown, 109 influence, not bad at all, if I do say so myself. And indeed, we are going to be able to take many, many prisoners. Not entirely sure if I really care about any of these, to be honest, but I will take them just because they are samurai units, or at least most of them are. And then we'll just recruit all of them. There we go. Actually, let's... I didn't want to take all of them, actually. I thought I had enough space, but apparently I did not. So I will just swap a bunch of them out there. There we go. All right. We have enough morale to be able to make that work anyway. So anyway, let me see. Okay, we're going to take a bunch of this, and that's it. Okay, 11,000 experience, and we've finally taken Yuzuki, and I am actually going to be taking this. Okay? I'm going to take this so that we have 2 fiefs and we can actually look after it a little bit. And you can see here, the prosperity is actually pretty good on this place. So maybe we can actually make something, you know, make something happen here. I'm going to get my governor as well. I'm going to get my governor, and hopefully she can turn this into an absolute amazing utopia of epic proportions like she has at Hinoue. At least... we can only hope that to be the case. Now, I am going to just go and see what's actually happening with this little notification here, because I do need to make sure that we have ownership over it. Yep, new owner is me. There we go. All right, that's absolutely fine. And yeah, I'm actually unsure. Do I have to go all the way back? I don't think I do. Alright, so unfortunately, hilariously enough, me removing my governor from Hinoue has literally created an extreme amount of losses for our money situation. When she was there, I was getting about 2,000, somewhere around there in cash, and then as soon as I removed her, I'm only getting 466, which just goes to show having a governor, especially one as good as her, because she actually has a huge amount of steward and engineering, hilariously enough. Yeah, this is actually just some random, by the way, that I picked up somewhere. This is not a distinguished service companion or anything like that, because I noticed that the distinguished service companion disappeared randomly, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. Anyway, she is now going to take 5 days to get to Yuzuki. 5 days is basically nothing, so... she will be here relatively soon. You just have to go to the clan screen and just reassign people through the fiefs menu. It's actually really, really nice. Good quality of life feature right there. And otherwise, we will now take a look and actually see what our Kiryu clan fellow is up to. He's going to go to Sakurao Castle and, well, let's wish him the best of luck, I suppose, eh? Because it's going to be very, very important that he... why did he decide to go there instead of over here? Oh well, I guess it doesn't matter too much. But we are apparently having a problem. Oh, whoa, okay, hello. That is a massive army. All right. Ha, we've got a lot of defenders right there. I'm actually quite surprised we have so many defenders. Okay, let's actually just take a quick look at what's going on. Okay, how many... whoa, look at how many vassals they have here. This is craziness. Okay, so I'm getting 10,000 gold every single day. Is that really true? Must be, right? That must be true, but I'm very surprised because generally, I mean, I thought that Hinoue was actually giving us a huge amount, but apparently Yuzuki and its prosperity is just incredible. It does have 4,000 prosperity, which is quite a big amount, considering. So hopefully we'll see some cool stuff happen. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to get some additional troops here because we have nothing in the garrison right now, so we really do need to add some people there. Just going to put some of these lower tier people in there for the moment. And as we're waiting, we might as well, right? We might as well, because we are then going to be gaining additional troops as time goes on. Because they're going to refresh, we can then use them and then put them back in here and all that wonderful stuff. Same thing with me going to the villages as well. It's been a while since I've actually garrisoned a place, so I'm a little bit rusty in that regard. Thank you very much. Let's hope that I don't lose anyone along the way. There we go. Okay, perfect, perfect. Obviously, I don't even need cash right now, so me actually getting any money whatsoever from, you know, tariffs and rents and taxes and stuff like that doesn't really help me. You know, it doesn't really help that much, but it's okay. You know, it's good. It's a decent amount. Let's see how much influence I'm actually getting from this as well. Settlement buildings 1.5. Okay, I'm going to assume that once our governor arrives, it will be better. And there we have it. The garrison barracks building is already done because our governor has finally arrived. Now, one thing we got to realize here is that the army nearby, the Mori army, has now taken the nearby castle, which is actually fine. That's really not that big a deal because they had 1,500 troops. Now they only have 600. They only have 600 now. So this is, yeah, it's because they've literally placed 230 people in here, and they, of course, lost a whole bunch of people as well at the same time. Now, bear in mind, look at this. They only have 1 day worth of food. 1 day worth of food remaining, and we can easily, almost instantaneously, go in and take this. Almost, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just build a bunch of braziers in the meantime. Are these guys actually going to come in against us? Okay, that's kind of interesting, actually. I was... You know what? I am a little bit worried about this. Yeah. I'm a little bit worried. Not sure if we're going to be okay. Huh. Yeah, oh, no, we're going to be fine. All right. Yeah, no, we're going to be fine. All right. Yeah, this is much easier than I anticipated because we have this battlefield. This is really going to make a huge difference. Okay. Yeah. This battlefield is absolutely hilariously strong. Absolutely hilariously strong. Like, there's nothing these people can do. Not anymore, at least. There's nothing they can do. And this is exactly what I was talking about. This battlefield is insane. Look at how many troops we've killed so far, and we've only lost 3 of our own, just purely because these enemies, they can't do anything. They're walking uphill, you know? Their cavalry is going to be significantly slowed as a result, and it may not be the biggest hill in the world, but it is making a huge difference to us, and you can clearly tell. I mean, look, you know, we have lost battles before just because the battlefield has been, you know, disadvantageous. But in this case, no, we're perfectly fine. I'm gonna actually just tell these guys to skirmish or do whatever. Auto-delegate a little bit here. Gonna tell my people to move forward now. I have 220 in guns. I would love to be able to get to 225. I highly doubt that's gonna be the case, but you never know. Maybe at some point in the future when we have the ability to use it more often. I mean, you know, these field battles are a great source of... What did you see that? Did you see that horse? That horse was flying in the air. That is hilarious. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what happened with that, but yeah, it was literally flying. Okay, well, that's those are the kinds of moments that are absolutely hilarious. I love them. Okay, anyway, hopefully we will be okay to achieve victory here. I'm actually kind of a bit weirded out by the fact that there's still so many enemies. And let's see. Okay, yeah, there's the infantry. Okay, yeah. So let's actually see what happens here, because these guys are going to be walking into us. Let's move the infantry a little bit over there. Let's get these guys over here, move them a little bit closer as well. And let's actually see what transpires, because no doubt these fellows are going to want to charge at us, but they're just going to get absolutely massacred by our ranged troops here. And of course we even have horse archers. Gonna tell them to auto-delegate, because the horse archers are gonna do a fantastic job. They're just gonna go round and round, you know, they're gonna whip them into a frenzy, as it were. And we are absolutely fine. There is not much they can do. Yep. That is it. I think that is indeed a victory for us, and I can pretty much just speed up the rest of the battle. And there's the victory for us eventually. 64 renown, 125 influence, and we eliminated a huge Mori army. Now, hilariously enough, I actually have come to the conclusion that doing battles, and this is, maybe this is kind of like a... sort of like the moment, you know what I mean? Maybe it's like, well, that's obvious, you know, sort of thing. But I wanted to talk about it anyway, because here's the thing. Completing battles, that fundamentally increases the exhaustion rate by a staggeringly large amount in comparison to doing sieges, right? So if you focus only on doing, you know, battles and don't do sieges at all, you're going to be able to force the opponent into an exhaustion state that much faster, right? So, in other words, if you do that, you're then going to have an overwhelming amount of cash coming away almost very, very quickly, right? So the thing is, if you really don't want to capture any fiefs or anything like that, and you literally just want to, you know, attack a particular faction just because, you know, just because they are, I don't know, nearby to you, maybe they're weaker than you or something like that, and you don't care about their fiefs, and you just want to get money, all you have to do is attack their vassals. You just have to attack their vassals, and eventually you're going to get exhaustion, because defeating them in field battles is so much more effective than sieges. And it's actually quite funny, because that means that vice versa, if you don't, want to cause exhaustion, then all you have to do is do sieges. You just have to do sieges over and over again, and that's it. And that is hilarious, because that means, look at this, I'm going to just do an auto-resolve on this, which is so funny. But that means that if you want to continue taking someone's territory, you can literally do that by just capturing their territory and avoiding exhaustion altogether. Because you see here, look at the exhaustion that we have right now on the Mori. We had, what was it on before? I think it was on like 30 or 40 or something like that. And now it's on 86. So that fundamentally just says, yeah, we won that one battle, and immediately they're almost ready to give up. And that's what happens. Now, if our Kiryu clan can actually do something by taking another castle, that would be fantastic. We've already expanded our territory quite dramatically anyway, so I suppose it's not that big a deal if he doesn't, but it would be very nice if he decides to do so. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.